Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a review show special. And today, I'm going to be looking at Keyring by Iain Bailey. Now, if you don't know Keyring has been out now for a couple of weeks. It came out exclusively through Alakazam, so it's available worldwide from Alakazam Magic. And it's the third release that Iain Bailey has brought out through Alakazam. The first one was Made to Measure, which was a tape measure prediction. The second one was the Jameson wallet, which is a very clever, well-made card to wallet. And now he's back with Keyring. And Keyring is very, very different to any of the other routines that Iain's brought out through Alakazam, or to be honest, any routines he's brought out, period. In fact, I have to be honest, calling it a trick is almost doing it a bit of a disservice, because although it is a trick, there are so many different options that you can go to with this. There's so many different ways that you can actually take this routine that, you know, the sky is the limits. And the way that the tutorial is constructed is really clever, because what Iain does is he goes through loads of moves and loads of sequences, and you basically just create your own routine using your favorite moves and sequences. And Iain will share with you his favorite way of doing it. But then he goes through lots of other different options as well. And you can tell that Iain's worked this routine in. You can tell that this is something that Iain has been using for years. Now, if you don't know what Keyring is, before we go any further, let's have a look at the trailer, because the trailer has a live performance in it. So you see exactly what this looks like. I'm not actually going to perform this, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. I'm not going to perform it. You'll be seeing it probably in the next week or so on Magic TV as a Magic Live. Now, I'm not performing it right now in this review show. I'll tell you why a little bit later on. But first of all, let's have a look at the trailer.
Iain Bailey here, back with Alakazam to bring you my latest release called Keyring. This is a brilliant everyday carry item that you can keep on your keychain and perform at a moment's notice.
I loved it from the first second, and another minute later I came up with this idea for this routine.
You hand out a key to be examined, and upon receiving it back, you're able to bend that solid key around your thumb, forming the shape of a ring, or in this case, a key ring. So you start by handing out a key to be examined by your spectator, and you ask them, what do you think this item is? And they of course say, it's a key, Iain. We know it's a key. And I said, well, actually it's something slightly different. It may look like a key, but it's actually a key ring. Let me explain. And I hold the key right in front of their face and just slowly start to bend this solid key around my thumb, causing it to form the shape of a ring, or in this case, a key ring. I can then take the key ring and instantly pop it back into the form of a key, or if you like, do it in an instant right in front of their face, and once again straighten it back out into the form of a key so that you can now put it back in your door. And once it's heated up enough, you can actually see it melts right back onto my finger, forming that kind of key ring, and then once again back to the key so that you can now get it in the door. Good. So there you go. Thank you very much. The routines are modular and multi-phase, meaning whether you have 5 seconds or 5 minutes with your spectator, you're able to perform this in whichever way you desire. I've also covered every skill level from beginner right up to expert, so wherever you're at with your sleight of hand, I know that you will find a place in your repertoire for Keyring. I'm Iain Bailey, and this is Keyring.
So that's the trailer, and as you can see from the trailer, the live performance in there, it's very, very strong. I first saw Iain do this about a year ago now, when he first came up with the idea, and it was really the first move that he showed me, which was the slow motion bend, and it looked really, really good. But since then, he's taken it to an entire new level, because what he's doing with this with this particular trick is he's combining karate coin, he's combining sort of spellbound, he's combining key bending into one routine. And the lovely thing about it, like I said, is you can do it as a 1-phase routine or a 5 or a 6-phase routine, just depending on your skill level and how you want the trick to play. Now, before I get into the pros and the cons, and I talk in detail about what it is that you receive, I managed to sit down with Iain and chat about keyring. And this is the interview. This is the chat that I had with him. He talks all about keyring. He also gives us a sneak peek of some other stuff that's coming out later on this year. But specifically, he talks about keyring. He talks about where the original concept came from, who the best person is to perform it, a whole bunch of different stuff. So I want to thank Iain for finding time to actually come on the channel and talk about the trick. We're going to have a look at that right now, have a look at the interview, and then I'm going to give the product a full review. So I am here with the legend, the person I speak about all the time on this channel, rapidly becoming one of my favorite creators, the one and only Iain Bailey. How you doing, Iain? You okay?
I'm very well. Yeah, very well.
You're smashing it, man. You're smashing it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I do listen to the Magic podcast, and yeah, really, really touched by the things you've been saying. So I appreciate that. And you were kind of a real forerunner for pushing Cafe Hero as well. I think that was a trick that got overlooked by many, and you said wonderful things about that as well. So I appreciate
Cafe Hero. I think it's great. I think it has been overlooked, and I think that's a shame because it's such a commercial piece of magic that's just, it feels very like everyday carry. Yeah. Feels, you know, you just have a few cards in your pocket, you bring them out, it's something everyone can relate to. But that's something, all of your tricks have got something in common. They are all super commercial. I'm looking at the list behind you, you know, like everything, you know, one card Monty was an incredible version of the one card of the color Monty. Jameson wallet was a really smart card to wallet. The made to measure, absolutely brilliant for a stage performer. I've done that many, many times. Cafe Hero, brilliant. Wonder Blocks is Ryland's favorite penguin trick of all time. Like
excellent.
So you know, I mean, you seem to have this knack and this ability of just structuring routines and making them very simple and accessible, whilst at the same time really commercial and interesting plots and premises. And yeah, it's always great.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think, you know, it's that famous book, Steal Like an Artist. And I think a lot of the routines I've come up with, because I've been so heavily influenced by Jay Sankey and Greg Wilson in particular, I think everything that I have released has that kind of handling to it, or that kind of flavor to it. And in fact, when we're talking about keyring as well, Greg shared his version of keyring, and it kind of made me want to buy it again. Like when he was performing my trick back to me, it had his flavor spun on it even more. And yeah, it's just, I think both of those combinations combined just make everything. I like short routines. I like easy routines on the whole. And yeah, things that are just fun and engaging. You know, I've got a very short attention span, so everything needs to be quick.
And that brings us on to your latest trick, which you're going back to Alakazam for this one, because you have gone back and forth between, you know, you've bought stuff out through Penguin, through 1914, through Alakazam. We'll talk in a few minutes about stuff you're bringing out in the future through your own sort of website. But you've gone back to Alakazam with keyring. The packaging is gorgeous, but the routine, incredible visuals, wonderful trick. Different in many ways to a lot of the stuff that you've brought out up until this point, because it is very, there's more moves and sleights in there than there have been in any of your previous releases. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I would. And I don't know if you remember this, but was it the Midwest Magic? No, not the Midwest. It was the one down in Bournemouth. Do you remember?
The Wessex Magic.
That's it. I am actually going to Midwest, by the way, so I will be hanging out with you there, the one in Ireland.
Oh, are you? Well, well, yeah, I'm lecturing there. So
yeah, I saw. So yeah, so it should be good. But yeah, it was when I showed you down in Bournemouth. I showed you the very start of keyring.
It's changed a lot since then.
Yeah, and it was just one phase. And you know, I think both you and when I showed Jay Sankey it as well, just over Instagram, he said, yeah, that you know, it's nice, but the bend needs to be slower. And so that whole routine has changed so much from when I first showed you to kind of this slower bend, which is really visual, just a one phase bend. But then also Garrett Thomas's influence as well, of making it kind of like a Tai Chi thing where you can do loads of different things. If you want to do a long thing for camera, or you want to do something a little bit special, you can do the longer version. But the one phase slow bend is very easy to do, and that's all I do. I just take the key, bend it, hand it out, and that gets the strongest reactions out of them all. So yeah, you can pick and choose as much as you want with this one.
And I like how you structured the tutorial, because you went through so many different moves and you were like, hey, pick which moves that you think are best for you. I remember seeing that one moment where you kind of put it in your hand and it bent or straightened out. And then you were showing your hands empty, and then you put it back and you were like, well, this is it. And it was quite a tricky move, a satisfying move, but quite a tricky move. And then you were like, but you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Here's an alternative. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And I like the fact that you tried to make it adaptable for every single skill level.
Yeah, I set out to create a tutorial that Craig Petty would get tired of watching.
Didn't work. I loved the whole thing. It
got to about 1.5 hours, and I collapsed from the heat. I was dehydrated, and I had no idea how Craig does it. So so I had to just get out. I couldn't do it. I set out to do 5 hours. Didn't happen.
But you know what you did have on your tutorial? You had Garrett Thomas on there as well. I mean, when you have Garrett on, I mean, that's a big get. I mean, that's royalty when it comes to sleight of hand with rings, especially there. And the fact that he was on the tutorial is a huge endorsement of the routine.
Yeah, I first approached him because when I watched his At the Table lecture, which is a lecture that I've watched so many times, the kind of theory that he's got in there is just amazing. So I've watched that a few times, and then when I came back to it after I created Keyring, his very early stages of Opus was on that, and it's just suddenly clicked. I thought, yeah, I can do pretty much all the same handling of his routine with this gimmick. And so I first approached him, just asked for permission, saying, can I borrow this move? Can I use this move? And then he wanted to jump on it, and I think he wants to buy a load or something. I think he's thinking of having some kind of, a selection of tricks that he's influenced and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, to just jump on the project and teach ring thing in great detail was a really nice kind of added extra that I wasn't anticipating when I first came up with this. So yeah. Great.
And I think that, speaking to people, a lot of people, everyone who's bought it has raved about it, and rightfully so. I think that there's a percentage of people out there that haven't bought it because they think it's going to be too tricky for them to perform.
Yeah.
Because it does look on the trailer very difficult. And there are moves in there that made me cry. Like, I'm pretty good at sleight of hand, and there were moves in there, and I was like, man, I'm speaking to Nemid Phoenix. Nemid is an incredible close-up magician, and him and I have both got this. And I was saying, how are you getting on with it? And he's like, oh, I'm really finding this bit difficult. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really finding this bit difficult as well. But like I say, I want people to understand, like, we're learning every single phase because that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy learning sleight of hand, but you don't have to go down that route if you don't want to.
No. And my sleight of hand's okay, but I think the only reason why I've managed to get this looking smooth is just because it's just really addictive to do. And I think when you're watching TV, I had like a little mirror, one of these mirrors, just on the coffee table. And whilst my wife was watching TV and I was pretending I was watching, I was basically just watching myself do this kind of same thing over and over again. And it is really addictive. And the biggest thing is, as well, is noting that even though Garrett released Opus, if he was to perform this in a bar, all he does is he just gets the ring that's made out of a dollar coin and he slaps it on the table, flattens it out and hands it out. He doesn't really do the full routine when he's doing table hopping. So be encouraged by that, everyone, and the fact that actually, although he's a master of sleight of hand, he just does what he knows will work, what he's comfortable with in a certain situation. And it just gets really strong reactions. And it's in having more clarity in your performance rather than doing all this other stuff, I think is better, And you
can, like you said at the beginning of this interview, you can do this just as a metal bend. You don't have to do the whole sort of spellbound style routine with it. You can literally just say, hey, I've got this key, watch it bend in a really weird way. And I've seen a lot of key bending routines, a lot of metal bending routines. I've never seen one that bends in this way before. It looks so weird when you do that.
Yeah. No, it's strange. Yeah, and it's nice, and it's kind of like what your testimonial was kind of hit the nail on the head. Was that it was kind of like it's a mixture of metal bending and karate coin. You know, you can go in any direction with it. You can do a kind of a quick one phase bang thing, you know, or you can do a really kind of slow. So it probably appeals to mentalists, you know, people who are really into kind of the metal bending and fork bending. It probably appeals to them as much as it does a Greg Wilson style performer who just wants to do a visual change and hand it out. There's a lot of scope with it. I think we've only scratched the surface in terms of what you can do.
Well, that's one thing that I'm planning on saying on my review, which is, you know, you've got so many different ideas and concepts with this, but there's so much more that can be done. I would love to see what Danny Goldsmith would do with this. I would love Danny to get one of these and then just like let him loose with it. I think that a lot of people are going to be coming up with their own routines for this and coming up with their own ideas and their own concepts. And I love that about it. It reminds me very much of an old school Magic release back in the day when, you know, like you mentioned Jay Sankey earlier. Something like the sort of thing that Jay would release, where it's like, right, okay, you've got this and you've got this. Here's 1,000 moves. Here's a few performances put together. Now go nuts. And it's kind of like, you know, it has that.
Yeah, that's it. And I think he did have a similar thing with his nail. He had that nail bend that goes around in a circular, so he can wear it.
Oh gosh, I remember that. Yeah.
It wasn't called nail. That was the card trick. I can't remember what the trick was called, but he's definitely had an influence on that. And like Jay, he's taught dozens of different handlings to it. But ultimately, it's as soon as you get it in your hands, you're going to ignore everything I've taught you, and you'll just, you know, do what you feel comfortable with and what fits your character and style. And it's good. It's a good foundation for anyone, really.
Exactly. Now, while I've got you, we are going to be doing a full-on proper interview at some point soon. But while I've got you, very, very quickly, can I find out what you're moving on to next? Because you have really been releasing Magic now for about 2 years. I think Made to Measure was the first big release that you had come out.
It was, during COVID. Yeah,
during COVID, it was Made to Measure. And then you've slowly, probably on average, every sort of 3 or 4 months been releasing another product. And there's been no slowdown in terms of quality, which you tend to see when people bring out a lot of tricks. There can be a dip in quality at some point, but we've not seen that with you. It's been very, very commercial. And I think that's why you've got such a following, and you've got so many people clambering for your next release because they know that it's going to be solid. So, you know, you've worked with the 1914, you've worked with Penguin, you've worked with Alakazam. What's coming up next?
I think for me, I'm doing a lot of lectures. So I've got a lot of lectures booked now, and I really enjoy that. That's something that I absolutely love. So I've got that. In terms of tricks, I do actually have. I won't perform it because this is like a lecture exclusive, right? Chris Rawlings is actually trying to create this rumor, this kind of weird, you know, talk of what this trick actually is. But this is it's what I call Dove Magic. That uses Dove shampoo. It's an epical version of Dove Magic, and so that is my kind of lecture exclusive. So if you see me at a lecture, you'll see me perform that. And also I do have a kind of a card trick with a very big difference. So in my lecture, I only have one card trick that I perform. And even this card trick isn't a standard card trick. I showed you just before the recording, and actually, it's a very fun routine. It's very workable, very commercial. And I'll be making that myself because it requires a very talented friend with a 3D printer and a load of other kind of technical things. Because I have that resource in the name of my friend Vilu, we are going to basically do my own release. So this is going to be a very scary thing for me. I'll be investing some money in this trick and putting it out. So keep a lookout for it. I'll be filming it soon and hopefully maybe released at the end of this year.
Oh, wow. I know the one you've said. You've taken a classic stage trick.
Yes, this is the one. Yeah.
And you've made it way more visual, and you've made it close up. You've made it something that close-up magicians can do, but it's still got the same comedy as the classic stage routine. I think it's brilliant. I remember you first showing it to me, or its first iteration, at the Session Magic Convention this year.
Yes.
I was blown away by it. I was like, that's really clever.
Yeah, no, it's very fun. And because of my electrical background, my stage show is called Tricks of the Trade, where I do this version on a large scale, but my kind of close-up kind of parlor show, I do this. And so it fits my kind of electrical background really well. But a lot of my stuff is very much like the tape measure as well. That fits my kind of electrical background. But yeah, hopefully people will like it. The reason why I want to try and push it at the end of this year is because my wife and I are expecting a baby in December. So I want to get all of this whilst I have free time. I want to kind of get it all done so that I can then send it out.
Is that your first child?
It is, yes. Yeah.
Write your life off.
It is scary. Yeah. I don't know if I'm prepared for this. I have no idea what to expect, really. But
my advice is get your son into magic within a week of him being born.
Yes, yeah, and gimmick making in particular.
Making, yes.
Yeah.
Try to get him to learn how to split cards.
Yes.
Ideally, when he's 2, that's perfect. That'll help you.
Yeah, I'll be pulling on you for a lot of advice, I think, for making money out of your child. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, pimp him out as soon as you can. That's the best bet.
Yeah, definitely.
Congratulations, mate. And are we going to be seeing more releases in the distant future through various different companies?
Yeah. I think whenever I create something, like you've said in the past on your videos, everything has a certain feel. Like Wando Blocks had a penguin feel. Every trick has a different company that it fits with, and so yeah, I will probably be choosing my next company depending on how what I create. But this next card trick is all I've got in the bag actually at the moment, which is quite worrying. But especially being interviewed by someone who's got about 30 different ideas, and I'm being modest with that. But 30 in the bag. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. These things just come along, don't they, and catch you by surprise. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be some official releases through companies as well. But the next thing will be this card trick with a difference. But yeah,
I'll be the first in line to get this. It's going to be brilliant.
Thank you. Cheers.
Everything is that you come out with. Ian, thank you so much. I'm going to take this back into the studio and give Keyring a full review now. But everybody who's watching this, I want them to keep an eye on the channel because we are doing a full interview with you. But very quickly before you go, if people want to sign up to a mailing list, you're bringing this out yourself. Is there a mailing list they can sign up to?
Yes, yeah, I actually have a Substack. So if you go onto Substack, it's Iain Bailey Magic on there. So Ian is spelled I-A-I-N, but that'll be on the title anyway, so people know how to spell that. But yeah, that's my Substack, which I actually write about kind of once a week, once every 2 weeks. Lecture updates, discounts on things, get like little kind of hints of what's coming out in the future. So yeah, that is the way to go. And you can find me on iainbaileymagic.com. So if you go on there, there'll be a link to the Substack as well.
Amazing. Well, Ian, thank you once again for joining me on the channel, and congratulations on your continued success. And I will see you very, very soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. See you
Take
soon.
care, my friend. So first of all, I want to say thank you to Ian, and I want to be completely honest with you. I've known Ian for quite a while. He's not like my best friend in the world, but we definitely are friendly. And I'm going to say the same thing to Ian that I would say to, I'm going to say the same thing to you as I did to Ian, which is this review is going to be my honest opinion. I'm in no way biased just because I sat down and had a chat with him. This is my unedited raw opinion. And my opinion is that this trick is really, really good. In fact, if you look at the trailer, you'll see that there's a quote from me, and Ian asked me to give him a quote based on me watching it and seeing him perform it. And I was happy to give it a quote because this is the sort of magic that I like to perform. It's strong, it's heavy hitting, there's multi-phase, there's lots of different options in terms of which way that you go. And it's fun to practice. That's the thing. So what you get in the actual box is you get a key, and you also get another key that's been bent into the shape of a ring. Using the key and using this ring, you're basically going to be doing a series of spellbound routines that make it look like the key is straightening out and bending and straightening it out and bending it. And like I say, sometimes Ian will just do a one-phase routine. He'll just show the key, take it off his key ring, make it look like it's bent into a finger ring and put it on his finger. He'll just do one phase. Other times he'll do the full routine that you saw in the trailer. Other times he'll vary it up. Now, the reason I'm not performing this just yet on the channel is because I'm not happy with how it looks just yet. I've been practicing the main routine from Iain, and although I really like it, there's moments in there that I probably wouldn't want to do. There's certain sequences in there that wouldn't work for me. The great thing about this product is you don't have to use those sequences. You can go in a completely different direction. In fact, there's a couple of sequences that I'm including in my routine that Iain didn't cover. And that's what I talked about in the interview with Iain, which is the best thing about this project is that you can bring lots of elements in from all the other magic you do. Okay, what do you do with coins? Let's bring that in. What do you do with finger ring manipulation? Let's bring that in. You take all these different ideas and all these different concepts, you put them all together, and you create the routine that works best for you. And I'm working on like a 4 or 5 phase routine, and I want to use this. Everyone knows I love key magic, right? Keymaster is probably my #1 go-to routine. I want to use this as a lead into Keymaster. So I kind of have 3 keys on my key ring. I take off this one. I do the whole sequence, turning it into a ring. I put it back on the key fob and I say, well, actually, let me show you something else. Because this would make such a great opener. For me, an opener is a great opener when it's super visual, it's over very quickly, it establishes credibility, and this has all that in spades and then some. I can't say enough good things about the tutorial. I can't say enough good things about the quality of the product. Everything is top notch, right down to the packaging that you open up to get into the box, right down to the actual props themselves, right down to the tutorial. Everything is covered with a fine-tooth comb. And then on the actual tutorial, you have Garrett Thomas as well. Now, anybody who knows anything about magic will tell you that Garrett Thomas is an absolute legend in the magic community and has had more work on coin magic and rings than most magicians put together. Garrett sits down and talks about the ring thing, which is one of the moves that that Iain uses, and explains the origin behind it and explains how to perform it from his point of view. But his insights, Garrett's insights on this project are amazing, and it's just another bonus to this actual project. You've got Iain Bailey, you've got Garrett Thomas, you've got this wonderful prop. I mean, there's so many things to love about this. Now, I know that there's going to be some people watching this and they're going to go, well, you know what? It looks like a lot of sleight of hand. I don't think this is for me. And you're right. There's the main routine that Iain does. There's a lot of moments where, even though I'm pretty good at sleight of hand, I've been practicing them and I'm like going, I can do this okay, but I'd be a bit nervous performing this in front of a real audience. The nice thing is, you watch the whole tutorial, you don't have to do those bits if you don't want to. You can take them out and do something else, or you can add something else in. It's completely up to you. There's moves and sequences that I'm putting together into my routine that are completely different to what Iain's done, completely different what Garrett Thomas has done. I know that Greg Wilson is performing this routine. This could potentially be destined to become a modern classic because it is such a strong premise. Everybody knows what a key is. Everyone knows you can't bend a key. So the second that the key bends, I think it's stronger than something like Opus. You know, you see Garrett Thomas do Opus, where a ring turns into a coin and back again. And Danny Goldsmith's got a lot of work on that as well. I think this is even better than that because it's kind of possible to turn a key into a bent key like that if you put enough time and effort into it. It's not possible really to turn a coin into a ring. So you take some of the routines that Danny Goldsmith does, you take some of the routines that Garrett Thomas does, and you apply them to keyring, and the sky's the limit. Really, the sky is the limit. It's why I'm going to give this 97%. It's getting 97% because A, I'm absolutely 100% planning on putting this into my act, and B, it's super fun to practice. You just throw these 2 objects in your pocket and you can just practice them anytime, anywhere. And it's super fun to come up with new ideas and new sequences. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be performing this and they're going to be doing their own routines with it. And that's going to be great to see. So yeah, I'm giving it 97%. It's highly recommended. Don't be put off by the fact that it looks like it's a lot of sleight of hand. There's a lot of options available to everybody depending on how much time and effort you want to put into it. But it's really good. It gets 97%. It's highly recommended, and you can get it directly from Alakazam Magic. So there you go, guys. That's another review show in the special in the bag. Thank you very much to Iain Bailey, Peter Nardi, Harry Nardi, Andy Smith, the guys at Alakazam Magic, for putting out another great product. It's amazing. I cannot wait to see what's coming from Iain and what's coming from Alakazam next. Do me a favor, we want to see more videos like this. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. And don't forget, if you want to join the Netrix, you know what you need to do. You just got to go to www.thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com. Go and check it out, see what all the fuss is about, and I will be back again soon. Thank you so much for watching me. My name's Craig from Magic TV.